Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Tia.
And I'm your host, Koya.
Welcome to the Wig Life Podcast.
For wig lovers and wearers navigating life.
Because it's not just wigs, it's life.
Let's get into the episode.
So what are we talking about today?
Today, we are talking about wig confidence and insecurities. And I'm excited about this one.
Okay, why?
Because I feel like even if you don't wear wigs, as a woman, you have insecurities, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like with wigs, especially if you're wearing them because you've lost hair or you don't like your hair or whatever reason, that can bring in more insecurities.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so I think this is something that's not really talked about. But as a person that does YouTube and I review wigs, I have been asked about.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people have asked me, how did you get the confidence to wear the wig? How do you figure out what wig looks good on you? There's just a lot. And I think a lot of it really is based in fear. And fear is what part of insecurity. So I'm really excited to talk about this because I feel like it's going to help somebody out there in the YouTube world, podcast land about it. Yeah. And so my advice when people ask me is the first thing I always say is just do it. Because the confidence, in my opinion, in anything comes from the doing. You know, you can, and I'm a person too, like, I will research something to death. I will plan something to death. But I find that once you just start, you will kind of, it gets you out of that analysis paralysis kind of stage. And it pushes you, I think, to start taking the next steps because I feel like, you know, you will spend so much time just stressing yourself out about it that you don't even start. Or you may be in a situation where it's forcing you to start. And I think in that case, then, you know, that's a different ballgame. And if it comes to wigs, then I would say start with something that looks like your hair. But I would say the first step is go to the store, go online, order the wig. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think though, you know, because we were gonna talk about the difference between wearing wigs in different communities based on acceptance. So I feel like before that, there's a start before your start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because in your start scenario,
yes,
they already have an idea of what they're starting about.
Right.
And so I think with the insecurities is for people who are not versed in wigs,
right,
have not been around wigs, don't really understand wigs, I think that start is a little bit further back.
Yes.
So maybe that start is more of a, you know, finding someone who wears wigs and asking them the questions that you have.
Yeah.
Maybe it is, is there like a local wig boutique shop, beauty store, what have you, in your area? Can you just go in there and just look and maybe ask them questions? If you're that new and that's where you're at, I always suggest not to like buy. Like, don't even go in there with the intention of buying because you don't even, this is brand new. You know, because we're talking about wig confidence and insecurity.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to rewind this conversation and all the way back and talk about what potential insecurities there may be. Like,
yeah,
what would be the reason people maybe
sure
would be insecure to wear a wig?
Yeah. Well, I'll start. So I started out not wearing wigs. I started out with weaves, or as some people would call extensions. And I was wearing my wigs, I was wearing my extensions. I noticed that my hair was kind of thinning on the side. And so I travel for a living. Why didn't you wear
wigs to begin with?
Well, I travel for a living, and I just did not feel comfortable because I felt like wigs are for old ladies. Mm-hmm. And my biggest thing is I don't want it to fall off while I'm at work because when I work, I move a lot. I work on an airplane. I move a lot, and I'm not about to be doing my demo and my wig comes off. I will not be viral. Here, and then her wig falls off and I'm
be one of those memes.
Exactly. So I didn't. So my sister was like, girl, just wear a wig. I'm telling you, it's easier. It's this, it's that. So I started off wearing
because
half
they've
wigs.
changed so much.
They have.
Even in the last, what?
I would say last even 2, 3 this
2, 3 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, even from the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
They've changed so much, let alone 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. So people may be confused if you say, like, it would have been too difficult to wear a wig to work. If they're getting into wigs now, they're going to be like, well, what do you mean?
Right. Yeah. So we're talking about 2, 3 years ago. Actually, longer than that. It was like 4 years ago that I was like, I don't know. So I started off with half wigs.
Well, your understanding would have been from even further back.
Yeah. So I started off with half wigs, and that was great, but I'm lazy with my hair. And I thought the whole point of me wearing a wig is that I don't have to style my hair. So having to blend my hair with a half wig.
It's so funny that you say that.
Yeah.
My new people that come to me that have no experience, meaning they never wore a wig, they don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. I always tell them to wear a half wig with a headband. And, like, that is easy, breezy.
Yeah, easy breezy.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
It's like you want to run to the store quick, like, get a half wig with a headband.
Yes. And that is my work wig. When I do wear a wig to work, it is a headband wig for that reason. And so, so I start off with the half wigs, realized, like, okay, you're still putting the work in. This is not what you had in mind. So I went full wig. And once I went full wig, I went bananas because I found I like to express myself through my hair. I've always had, like, color and streaks and this and that, and it did a lot of damage to my natural hair. And so I found wearing wigs, I could do all that stuff and still have my hair, as well as, have the comfort and the versatility and the non-commitment of trying different things. But I know some women don't have that option. Right.
Well, but you can get a lot of confidence from that too, like like having fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that can and that can be down the road, and I think that's another thing to talk about when you're talking about wig confidence.
Yeah,
it's not going to be just this like get wig confidence in 30 days.
Yeah, no,
like it's not going to be like that. Like there are things that you can do. Matter of fact, I do have a journal, a wig confidence journal. It's like a coaching workbook that you can work through. Now, maybe you would go through it in a week or a couple of days or a month, and you would feel differently. Just like any coaching sort of self-help thing, though, it may take some months longer. But there are steps and things that you can take. Yeah. But I would say the key is start where you're at and be okay with where you're at. Yeah, and understand where you're at. If you literally have never been exposed to a wig, if the reason you're wearing a wig is for maybe some medical reason, understand that your whole, your learning curve and sort of the emotional aspect of things may be much different than somebody else. Yeah. So that's the other thing. And for those of you who are supporting people wearing wigs too, especially if you're in the wig life and you're loving it and you are confident, remember where you were before too, because I have seen that happen. Where it's like, it's fun, it's great, come on, just throw this wig on. Like, what's the big deal? Like, it doesn't need to be lace front. It's fine, just throw a headband on it. Remember, you weren't always in that place. Remember, you were self-confident or self-conscious before. Yes. Like, it's okay if someone's not there. Yeah. And it's okay if someone never gets there. Like, if someone's preference is always going to be a certain
style, color.
If someone wants, like me, for instance, sometimes, look, I don't care. Sometimes I don't put powder. Sometimes I don't blend. Sometimes I know you can see directly in my lace. Sometimes I know you can see my wig. Sometimes it's like I don't care. Yeah. Like, but I know for some wig wearers it would be bothersome. It would make them feel insecure. It would make them feel like they wouldn't want to leave the house. Yes. And I get that. So I acknowledge that just because I have a comfort level for that. Right. That if they don't, that doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Like that's totally.
And I would say too, to start too, if you are someone who has to wear a wig and you don't feel comfortable, start wearing it around your home or around your house, just to get used to seeing yourself in a wig. Because I do think there's a mental shift that has to happen, because even though, like I said, I was like, no, wigs for Olays or it's gonna fall off, like that, I had to wear it a few times to realize, oh, it's not gonna just fall off.
And if it is, then start realizing like there's things that you feel like you'll start to feel like if the wig cap starts to shift underneath, you'll start feeling it.
Yeah.
So wear it around the house so you know what you're feeling for.
Yeah.
And then, maybe you wear wigs with a ball hat.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah.
And you only you're just gonna go to the Dollar Tree to get
simple stuff.
Yeah, stuff for somebody's birthday card or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'm going to put this wig on. That's all the place I'm going, and I'm coming back.
Right.
Yeah. Or I'm going to walk to the mailbox and put this in here and come back.
Baby steps.
It doesn't have to be this huge commitment where you're going to go to your, 20th, your 20th class reunion
with your
the
new
first
wig.
day that you're wearing the wig.
Right.
It's
build it up.
Baby steps. Take some photographs of yourself.
Yeah.
Get it out another point of view.
Sure. And two, I'm going to say, oh my goodness. All right. So this is probably going to make people feel some kind of way about
when someone says, "Oh my goodness," before they talk.
Okay. But I'm just going to stand in this because this is what my experience has been becoming a wig reviewer since I've been doing YouTube. So I know a lot of women. I'm a black woman. If you don't know, I'm a black woman. And so I know a lot of people who have worn wigs. Some are for fashion reasons. Some are for health reasons. Mm-hmm. And, but I think by far, just in general, wigs are marketed, especially synthetic. I wouldn't even say human, but they are marketed to us, and it definitely is a style thing. And since I've been a reviewer and I've watched other reviewers, and I'm going to say specifically white women or Caucasian wig reviewers, they tend to wear wigs because of something with their health. It's not as much fashion, I noticed it's more because
it's shifting
of something.
A little bit, but the initial reason they turned to wigs was either because of thinning or hair loss or alopecia or something. Yeah. And
so I noticed that, and I also noticed some of the terms that we use in different. It's just different, and so it became very apparent to me that even though some of us also, and when I say us, I mean black women, wear wigs for health reasons, there's a lot of us who wear, like me, for protective styling or just style. And so I think there's a different level of confidence and insecurity in that than it is when you are wearing a wig because you have something going on with your health. So it's not necessarily maybe an option for you. Maybe you really need that wig for security.
Well, and if you think about that, if you think about what you just said,
yeah.
you made a couple of good points that, in your experience and in your culture, it's marketed to you.
Yeah.
So this isn't something new. This isn't something just coming in front of you or something you're having to seek out.
Right.
It's marketed to you. It's being brought to your door.
Yeah.
This is something you've seen in your regular life, you see normally. It's normalized.
Yes.
Okay? So that's really important.
Yeah.
So confidence in anything that we have comes in part by what is normal and accessible and understandable to us, right?
Right.
So that was a really important point that you made.
Yeah.
I think another important point that you made in terms of it was, the health aspect of everything.
Yeah.
Because you're saying you want to do it for style.
Yeah.
So not only is someone grappling with some type of health issue.
Yeah.
But now they're trying to take on this thing that, let's be frank, is a world in and of itself. Because yes, you and I are saying the word wig. Yeah. But when we're actually talking about is hair replacement, which can be extensions, toppers, clip-in bangs, halo wigs, which is just around here and then you just put a hat on.
Right.
I mean, you have, did I say extensions?
Yeah.
Half wigs, just a clip-on ponytail. There's so many options.
Yes.
That I think in general, it's so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then what's the best choice for you? So I think you're already overwhelmed, and then you're overwhelmed with this brand new thing that isn't normally fed to you because anything marketed to anybody is just, you're bombarded with it. So
yes,
there's that as well.
Yeah, and I think in the different communities, and when I'm saying communities, I'm talking about Black communities and white communities. I definitely think it's discussed different, because I have my friend, super cute, and she watches my channel, and she's like, Ikoya, I secretly watch your channel because I want to wear wigs and stuff. And I'm like, okay, girl, well, get you a wig. And she's like, okay, so where do I start? And I'm like, well, what kind of wig do you want to wear? Or you want to wear something more like natural? Because she doesn't have any health issues. She just wants to wear it more, for fun. She kind of is intrigued by wigs. And so anyway, we're talking, and my friend is white. And so we're talking, and I'm telling her this. And she's like, so that cap thing, she's like, okay, where do I get that? And I said, you go to the beauty supply. And she's like, oh, okay, like Sally's? And I was like, yeah. But I wasn't talking about Sally's. I was talking about literally the beauty supply. In Black neighborhoods, there is literally the store, and it's literally called the beauty supply, or it's called whatever store, and they sell wigs.
Rose's Beauty.
Yeah, we have Kim's Wigs or King's Beauty Supply, and it has wig caps and wigs and ponytails and hair extensions. I mean, it has everything you could think of.
And we're using the term, as a disclaimer and a caveat.
Yeah.
We're using these terms, Black and white, very broadly and loosely.
Right.
Yes, we understand it's women of color, women not of color, because there are people, that you're gonna, any of the Latina culture. We're talking about Hispanic.
Yeah.
Those
and even Asians.
So we understand that.
Yes.
So, but for this conversation.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about insecurity and marketing.
Yeah.
You're talking to someone that doesn't even understand the story you're talking about.
Right.
So that's what I'm talking about.
And that's what really opened my eyes. It's not the same thing.
The start line is so far back.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't even know that that's the start line.
Yeah, because I'm like, girl, just go to the beauty supply. Because I'm doing air quotations for the podcast, because, but urban areas, there tend to be beauty supply stores. We know this. And so I'm just like, yeah. So when I said beauty supply and she said Sally's, it really...
And they have wig caps at Sally's.
Yeah, and they do, but that wasn't what I was talking about. And so that's what it made me really think about it deeper and really realize how it kind of does play into a little bit of a race, even though wigs are not a race thing. I'm just explaining, how it's much more... I guess the point I'm trying to make, it's much more in our culture, in Black culture, than it is other cultures, right? So, anyway,
and we are gonna have a podcast episode.
Talking about this.
Really gonna dive deep in the whole marketing thing, because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
And we don't want to get too
into
far in the weeds on that.
Yeah, but that just, what it did is just made me realize how much more wigs and wearing wigs is accessible in our community and more acceptable. And because that was the other thing she talked to me about, was people kind of were looking at me funny and looking at me, and I'm like, really? I was just really?
Which then in turn creates, the ability to have more confidence.
Right.
I think also, finding a community is going to help confidence, because we can address our insecurities in a secure place, which then in turn will help with the confidence. See, people think oh, I'm gonna do this and go and get confidence, and it's not really, it doesn't really work that way.
Yes,
it's not okay, out with the insecurities, in with the confidence. You can simultaneously be insecure about certain things and have confidence about others.
Oh, yeah.
In the same moment.
Because even with me wearing wigs, there's still, like I said, a certain level of insecurity is, did I put it on good? Did I melt it down good enough?
Well, getting ready for this podcast, how many times did I change my wig?
Yeah. So there's still...
And I was like...
And how many wig videos and tutorials and videos have you made? Hundreds. But, you know what I mean? So I don't think... I definitely think there's a level of comfort, but I think, again, it's in educating yourself, finding a community, feeling supported. And if you are someone who is in a community where there's not a lot of wig wearers or not a lot of wig discussions, like you said, seeking out communities. Because thank God we live in a time where there is Googles and Facebooks and there's groups and things that you can access.
Well, yeah, and like what you were saying is like, oh, go to the
yeah,
beauty
go to the
supply.
beauty supply.
But like, you know, where I live in a pretty, you know, in a slightly, I wouldn't say it's rural.
Yeah.
But, I mean, do I have a beauty supply store? But yes, but not close to my own house.
Right.
Like, do I know where it is? Of course.
Right.
But it's not close. So, and anyone that lives out further than I do, then that's, you know, that would be an issue. So it may not even be an option for them.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to remember some of that is, you know, those stores are, you know, any store is demographic.
Right.
So, you know, that's all something to keep in mind too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, you know, we've talked a little bit about the confidence and the insecurities. What would be, I think, like, if you were to give one tip, you could only get one tip.
Ooh.
One wig insecurity tip.
Yeah.
And one wig confidence tip.
With the wig insecurity, I would say there's always going to be a level of that. Because insecurity, I think, is just part of humanity. So I feel like with insecurity, it's always going to be a level of that. Push through. I don't know if that's, you just push through whatever concern you have. Because a lot of the times, insecurities are the pictures that we paint for ourselves. It's not even reality.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point.
Because, okay, so I'm just going to say one of my insecurities is my cheeks, right? My cheeks are super chunky. And if you ever see me,
as I was saying cute, you were saying chunky.
Yeah. And so I've been things have always been said about them. I've been called like chipmunk or whatever. So if you ever see me, I tend to always have longer hair because of that, because I feel like it slims my face. Or if my hair's pulled back, I have big earrings on. And it's all because I want to slim my cheeks down. Now, in reality, are my cheeks ever going to really be slim? No, because they're plumpy
girl,
and cute, and that's part of who God made me to be. But in my mind, it makes me feel better. It makes me feel
that's your perspective.
Like, so yeah, and so
and the
like
funny
to
thing
you, you're
is,
like, oh, they're cute, and I'm like, I'm over here looking like Alvin's girlfriend.
Yeah, but like at our age and getting older, a lot of people are paying money to get cheeks be putting in that way because it makes you look younger.
But so that's the whole thing,
so
right?
when
about
you're 55, you're gonna be like, snap it back, look at my cheeks.
I'll still be having my long hair, my big earrings.
We will have this conversation again when you will be like, wait a second.
And so that just goes to my point too. I'm saying chunky, Tia's saying cute, but it's in my mind. So that's why I would tell you to push through. What was the other one? I'm sorry.
For the confidence.
And for the confidence, I would say kind of like how the podcast started. I feel like confidence really comes in doing. If you can just, and even if that is just something simple as, like Tia said, going to the wig store and just looking at wigs, touching wigs, watching YouTube videos about wigs, reading about wigs, joining a Facebook group about wigs.
Subscribing to a podcast.
Yeah, subscribing to a podcast, watching a YouTube channel. Just anything that can start pushing you forward and getting you out of your head. Because I think with a lot of things, especially if you're a perfectionist, I think human nature is to avoid. We all want to be good automatically. We don't want to start at 1. We want to start at 5. Yeah, and there's just no such thing. There's just no such thing. Part of the process is messing up, having your lace look crazy. Yeah, because when I go back and look at some of my wig reviews, I'm like, girl, and you have this out in the world. Okay. So what would be yours?
I'd say for me, for the insecurities, I would say, to understand that, kind of to piggyback a little bit, is that your insecurities are your insecurities. Yeah. They're going to be there.
They're going to be there.
But to realize that we think more about ourselves than other people do.
Yes, we do.
And that's not in a negative way. It's just that because they are our insecurities, we have spotlights on things.
Yes.
And half the time people don't, they're in their own spotlight about the thing that they did or didn't do, or the thing they screwed up at work, or, you know, the fact that, you know, they put on, you know, the Christmas weight, or, you know, there's so many things, like all the things that run through your mind. Okay, that person has their things running through their mind. Yes. So the last thing that they're thinking about is whether your lace is visible. A lot of times people, and I've actually had people argue with me that I'm even wearing a wig when I think it is very visible, where I'm pulling it up to show them. So unless it's like sort of front of mind, it's like, how many times has somebody, you know, when they do those like lineup things, like where somebody like lines it up and they're like, what did you see happen here? And everybody says 20, something like different. He was wearing a red shirt and he was 7 feet tall, and the other person's like, oh no, he was a green shirt and he had 20 hats on. It's like, people are actually not paying exclusive attention as you would like them to be. So that will be working in your insecurity favors. Right. And as far as confidence goes, I would just say take your confidence in wins, in the small wins. Yeah, I like that. You don't have to feel like you're over here skippity-doo-dah, you know, singing in the rain, you know, shaking people's hand, flicking your wig in front of everybody. Right. You know, just having the conversation about it if you want to do it. Just being open about it. Yeah. You know, just going into the store. Maybe just going into the store and then trying on a wig. Yeah. Maybe smiling in the mirror. Just like you said, wearing it around the house. Every time you do something that takes you out of your comfort zone, that just then widens your, you know what I mean? Yeah. It just widens that area for you and it makes you grow. So focus on that. Don't focus on these big, huge obstacles. Just focus on the little thing. And by the time you do all those little things, you know, pretty soon you're going to be over here. Like, I have a pink one. I got a blue one. Right. And it's cool. Like, whatever you want. So that's what I would say for my tips on that.
I think that's good. That was like a tweetable you said too. I'm going to tweet that on our Twitter. Yeah. I'm going to put that on our Twitter account. Okay. Celebrate the small little wins. I didn't realize we had a Twitter account. Yeah, we do. We're everywhere online. Oh. We are everywhere online. So find us wherever you like to reside socially. We are there. We are there. All right. Well, we would like you to join us on all of our socials. Yeah. And if you're on YouTube, why don't you put down below, like, what is your, you know, if you have a wig insecurity that you would like to share with everybody, please share that. And if you had a wig confidence moment, like what was your wig confidence moment where you did something and you were like, yeah, I did that, and it really made you feel, you know, so proud of yourself? I'd like to share that, and let's have some conversations and give each other some like high fives about like our wig wins. Yeah, our wig wins. Yeah. I like that. So join our community. Make sure that you tune in to our next episode. It's going to be an interview with a fellow YouTuber, still looking good 58, who is going to be discussing with us wigs in the workplace. I know we hit on wigs in the workplace a little bit on this, but it's a new year. We want to get you ready. Yeah, she's awesome. She slays her wigs, and she comes from a professional, you know, background. So we can't wait to interview her and get some information about that. So all of you who are insecure or nervous about wearing wigs because you work maybe in a professional environment or you're not sure how to do that, this would be the one for you. Yeah, so make sure you tune in. All right. Bye. If you enjoyed the episode and you'd like to help support the Wig Life Podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating or review wherever you like to listen.
To stay up to date with the Wig Life Podcast, visit our website and follow us on socials everywhere at Wig Life Podcast. See you.